statistics are great because if you've been looking over the summer at a reservoir that's notionally down to 8.5%, it's a big piece of infrastructure with a tiny bit of water and it doesn't look good, it doesn't look prosperous for our region. Certainly the rainfall that's fallen in the last probably 4 to 6 weeks has been a real game changer. It's changed, the allocation today is almost at 21.5%. Sorry, the actual fill. And yesterday, through Sunwater's assessments to medium priority water users, they now have 66% of their allocation, which means certainly some of those croppers that speculated on their crop, they've actually now have sufficient water to finish. It was probably going back almost 2 years to May 2019, and clearly that shows two things. Firstly, it is a very effective reservoir in that even with reduced rainfalls in the subsequent seasons, there's still been sufficient allocation for industrial and certainly our urban users, and at times during that period of time, water for irrigators. Even for permanent crops like the citrus and the table grape industry around here, they've been obviously able to attract water from some of those other users to actually make sure those permanent crops stayed right through what has probably been historically 2 really dry summers. And I think in that period of time it's showed that it's got a great big roof, this catchment, and obviously small rain events in different places can actually contribute to it. So we're very grateful for 2 things. One is that there is some water flowing in there, and one is effectively it is a dam that works well for those communities. I mean, they already know they're having to run their lawnmowers regularly now, and obviously it's green, but for those communities that have been through up to level 3 water restrictions for the last 14 months, this is a great relief, and certainly you know, all of us that don't care about agriculture or whether the industry is getting their water, just for the rest of us to know that our parks and our communities and our sports grounds are actually got sufficient allocation now, obviously lifts everyone's spirit. So obviously that's a great film for us. It's quite simple. I think an event like the last 2 years where we've had, I guess, restrictions bouncing along the bottom, people have learned that notwithstanding the rain that falls out of the sky, that the water supply you get's got to be used very effectively. We can't waste it. And the interesting period of time now will be what is the change, despite the restrictions being lifted, what is the change up in water use now? Probably the good lesson would see that it doesn't automatically spike up because clearly it's obviously raining at the same time, but it would be that there might be a slight increase, but going forward it might be at lower levels, and that people have done other things like put in those stripper systems, maybe put a rainwater tank in, and looked at alternatives and reusing some of their water. That's the lessons we need to learn.